the sun, under the sun, under the sun, under the sun, under the sun.
Hi guys, thank you for clicking in the video. This is Kanishk and welcome to Strolling Wise Minds. This is our new episode and we've got my college senior. His name is Mr. Ashutosh and he's currently working with Amazon. And hi Ashutosh sir. So could you just please introduce yourself for once? Then we'll go forward with the podcast.
Okay, so hey Kanish, and my name is Ashutosh Srivastava and I've joined Amazon recently. I joined Amazon as SE3, that is Support Engineer 3. And yeah, I have graduated recently as well. And with this COVID and all, my journey has been like a bit of low and high. So yeah, let's talk about it.
So sure sir, we'll discuss about it. Now my question is that I'll not ask about how you got into Amazon, maybe how you went through the college thing. This podcast is all about engineering. It's all about knowing how to pass through a college life and how to, as a developer, as a coder, how do you prepare for stuff? How do you go with the other things? How with the other branches of life in engineering? Talking about primarily. And my first question is, when you got into college, like the first year, how was it like? How was it? How did you interact with people? Did you wanted to do engineering all your life, or maybe just you came into college like, I've studied so much, I'm not gonna study anything for now? How was it like? Was it inquisitiveness that brought you into engineering, or was it the sheer peer pressure which turned up into a hobby in the long term? So over to you, sir. What do you want to talk about?
Okay, so I'll go with a story. So in my family, there's not much of an engineering background, like my father and my uncle, and they all are from business background. And I was someone who was curious from like a very early age, like curious with different things. I wanted to like know deeper into things. So when I was in like, I would not lie in this, I'm confessing, when I was in 11th and 12th, I knew two things, either medical or engineering, unlike most of us. So engineering seemed like a viable option to me. And yeah, it's not that I just had that option, the curiosity that I had and the outcomes of engineering that I knew at that time was a factor that drove me towards engineering. Now, when I came into my college, first year was a lot of fun. Like, I would say I did not do what I should have done in my first year, but for me, first year was the best time of my life. Like, I've made lots of friends. We used to travel. We used to enjoy our time.
It was the summer of 69.
Exactly. So we used to do lots of good stuff, man. Like, I came out of my home like most of us do. And first year was like waking up late at night, no restrictions, no boundaries, roaming into the campus, going for late snacks and foods. So first year was good. But if after what I have learned and what I have like seen in my life or what my experience has been, so if someone who is like have a certain plan or someone who is like serious in their first year, they had it all along that they wanted to go do engineering, they want to do it in a proper structured way, but are confused, or in fact not just engineering but wanted to go ahead and do excellent in their life, but they don't know how to, they don't know what to exactly. So my suggestion would be, if you wanted to go into, like, I was a computer science engineer, so I can give more of an insight into that. So if you wanted to go into that field, you wanted to explore more about computer science, so if you have a background in coding, which most of us do, like who opt for computers in their 11th and 12th, so that is good. In your first year, go ahead, code more, code in a more advanced manner, do competitive coding, learn from your seniors, and move ahead. Explore different fields, I would say.
But sir, I'm very sorry to interrupt you. I'm not interrupting you. But sir, my question is that you just said you didn't know anything apart from coding and probably maybe engineering and medical. That was your constraint of knowledge. So when you enter college and you have you have a plan. I want to be a computer science engineer. I studied hard physics, chemistry, mathematics, and went in engineering college. Now, how fair is it to act upon that plan to become the computer scientist without exploring much other career options in your first year, and skipping all that fun part which you have did, which you'd actually did, and you now say like, okay, if I had a chance, I would have skipped it, or maybe not did it so much, the fun part, and probably you can call that fun part exploration of other careers as well. So is it only fair for a 17 to 18-year-old who enters into engineering college to maybe explore other domains, other things as well, and stick on that plan of enjoyment in the first year and explanations, or maybe just go for the very robust plan of getting to a software company? So how fair and how unfair is this for a first year to his career? So that's my question.
Well, I was coming to that. So, see, the thing is, when you get into a college, I was talking about those category that they have in their mind. They have their seniors, they have their elder brothers and sisters whom they have seen that are doing well in a corporate environment, are doing well as computer software engineers, and want to pursue that path. So for them, if a coding knowledge is there, then it's good. They should go ahead, practice their coding, improve on that, learn other fields, like explore fields in computer science domain like IoT and machine learning and AI and blockchain, and like do that in the side as well as go through their interest, look for their interest, what they're interested in. Apart from that, someone who's admitted into first year and want to explore their domain, want to explore for themselves what they want to do, should like look at everything. Like, and I would be honest, the way we were 4 year back and now the student that are coming, we have a huge difference, like in every way, in thinking and mentality, because of this internet boom and like how active everyone is on internet and social media. So the students now, kids now, they have much more perspective of different things. So for them, looking up for different options, different viable options is much easier. So suppose take an example of a guy or girl who entered into the first year of his engineering and does not want to specifically go follow that robust computer science plan, but want to explore for what to do. They already have certain things in their mind, like, okay, I like content writing, I like writing, I like social media. So now with a little bit of help from someone, they can like say, okay, content writing plus social media, I can combine those both and get into something known as social media marketing or any other field per se. So knowing what you are good at and or knowing what your interest is this is a viable option in the first year. But it's not always that you go and you look for what you have to do in the first year. First year, I would say, is mostly for fun, but knowing what to do and exploring a bit is what first year is all about in an engineering college. Yeah.
Okay. So, leaving the first year, the fun part aside, now get to the serious part. I'll talk about the second and third year. That's a very major part of an engineering of an engineer's life, was basically. So, talking about it, when you enter second year, you get to know about things like DSA. You get to know about other stuff like development, web development, IoT, Android, ML, deep learning. So, how fair is it to go for the for the exploration stuff, like to explore different technologies, different tech stacks, and compare them and make your way around them, or maybe follow these a new trend of following roadmaps? Like if I see on YouTube, we have many different trends, like going for DSA, then going for web dev, then building certain projects and building a certain resume, and as they claim is the very short way into getting into software companies like Amazon and Netflix and Google, etc. So how fair do you think is following a very constrained roadmap that claims to help you around, or maybe for, as you said, for an average guy? No, I'm not talking about prodigical people, I'm talking about average people. How fair is it to follow a so-called secured path, or maybe how fair is it to explore around stuff and make your way around and risk and risk getting lost in that path? So yeah, over to you.
Okay, so talking about roadmaps definitely work, I would say that, because these things come from someone like us who were lost in their path and who have explored certain option and have reached at a certain point. So if someone asks me like how I reached at where I am, or someone who is an SD in Google or Facebook or Amazon, they would give you something very precise. And it's not always that everyone is prodigical, like you mentioned. People come from an average background and reach up to that height. So they have a clear, concise way. They have the clear idea of how they reached there and what was their dedication and what was their giving in to get that goal. So roadmaps definitely work. Apart from that, exploring different paths and exploring different across different projects, I did that, and I'm not a bit regrettable about that thing. And that is important, because when you explore, when you do certain things, when you put yourself into different domain, that is how you know what your interest is, what your interest where your interest lies, and where you want to take your life further. Because there would definitely come a point, if you are following someone without exploration, which is also important, without knowing what you want and following someone else's path, there would come a point in life where you'd regret those decisions. It does not happen with everyone, but like like most of the people end up regretting the decisions if they
People
follow someone.
people with an
Yeah,
inquisitive tension, them probably, who like to explore stuff and were so not sure about getting lost, so they went with the roadmaps and then they later regret. That's what you want to say, so I guess.
exactly.
So I
And that
guess
does not happen with everyone, because see, following those roadmaps, you have Amazon or Facebook or Google in mind, and internally you know your primary goal is money. You'll get money, you'll enjoy the work, and the work culture is so good. The way there are various things that you won't regretting at that point. But still, for some people, there comes a point that they end up like thinking, what if? And that what if is something that money cannot compensate. So exploration is important in that way. And also talking about DSA and DA and all those stuff, that I believe is important. Whether you have any plans, if you are getting into computer science, you need to know your basics. Be it any field, you need to know your basics. Be it marketing or like any technical or non-technical field, basics are important. So DSA and DA, they are the basics, and they definitely help you one way or other. Like you suppose you want to get into Android or web, there you require it. A dedicated SD, you require it. Machine learning and IoT, one way or other, you require it. Because until and unless you don't know your the DSA part, even people talk about you do not require the coding, you do not require to learn DSA and all those things to get into machine learning. Stats and those formulas and theorems are only required. But suppose you are doing something, you want to like, I'll get into technical a bit, you want to like go through a file, parse a file or parse folders, you would require certain algorithms to do that. And there you would require the knowledge of DSA and all. So yeah.
sure, sir. Then my question comes into another thing. Let's address the elephant in the room. There's a lot of ruckus around this fact. Even I see it in my college and my peers. Like there are three subdivisions of people who actually work hard. Like there are people who don't work hard. Let's leave that domain for a single second. Let's work on the people who actually code, and the 5% or maybe the 2%. So in that I see people who actually just focused on competitive coding or DSA, people who actually focus on full stack development and everything, people who are fully focused on maybe deeply focused on ML, deep learning, and doing hackathons and Kaggle and like actually doing stuff. So, and everyone has their own theory, and every domain thinks that they are superior, like this is the only way to success. So as it's a very common notion that success is subjective, like, oh, how do you want to get it, what do you want to do. But in today's industry, to get into a software development engineering role, like I'm talking about a very average guy, this podcast is all about how to get success through mediocrity, like from mediocrity. So my question is, what is the currently seeing the industry trends, what is the very secure, and I'll not say secure, I'll say what is the most trusted and wise path to follow in order to get a secure SDE role, or maybe a good software development engineering role. So what do you suggest on that?
Internships. Be it any role. You want to go as a full stack developer or ML developer, IoT developer, or blockchain developer, those specific paths, internships is your way. So what happens is, see, there's this rubbish that always goes around, like companies want 4 years, 5 years experience out of freshers. So, well, they are not actually wanting that. Some do, but not everyone. But how you can compensate as an individual is where internships come in between. So what happens is, in your second year, first year I say do nothing, enjoy. In your second year, and if you are serious, you can cover the most of the basics in your second year. By the time the third year is going to start, you can start heavily applying for internships. Learn networking in those first 2 years. Learn to build some skills, that is communication, networking, your technical skills in those 2 years. And as soon as your third year starts heavily in applying for internships. And as an intern, one has to remember that they do not seek for certain coding knowledge or certain specific frameworks or those kind of knowledge. What mostly I have seen in my experience is company seeks is how good of a team player you are. As an intern, how like can you handle the pressures that would come into day-to-day role, and whether you can be a good fit or not. Internship is all about learning, so those skills help you get those things. And during this 2 year, from third year to fourth year, an average could do like you can do on an average 4 internships of, like, say 2 months or two maximum 3 months. And when we count that, how much is it? It's total of 1 year. So in those 2 years, you have gained at least minimum of 1 year of experience. And by doing that, suppose someone wants to go into a data scientist or ML engineer role, that 1 year for definitely counts for him to get into any startup that would start paying at around 6, 7, 8, 9 LPA. And for a normal SDE role or an average SDE role, if you have the basics, if you know the basics, if you are competing on an average basis, and where most people fail is they skip in between. What I mean is they do not persevere in their journey. So what people do is they start doing it. They'll have like, okay, I'll do DSA, I'll do competitive. They'll do it for a week or two, then they'll leave. What's most important is consistency. And I'm not talking just about SDE, but any field, be it in IoT or machine learning, because in machine learning also, or in AI also, new research comes out every day, every second day. Like in 3 to 4 months, you can get papers that surpasses the previous one. So until and unless you are not acquainted with it, you are not informed with those things, you won't succeed. And like getting an average paying job is very easy. What people lack is their, like, what we say, consistency and their hard work. Because mostly what people want is like getting everything without doing their hard work or without having the grind. So yeah, that's important.
Yes,
And again, I'll sum up internships. That's it.
sure, sir. Sir, my next question is there's a we certainly belong to the non-IITs, the colleges people don't usually talk about. So there's a lot of buzz around. Like I see in my college, like, there's a lot of tension around how to get into IITs, how to get into the best college, and how to fight the depression between. So it's very tough, and so there's a confusion. A general, an average engineer. I'm talking about the dedicated domain also. Again, the general engineer faces a dilemma whether at the beginning of his third year, probably sometimes, that should I go for an MBA, should I go for an MTech, or should I go for my job preparation, since my college my college isn't offering me great opportunities. Should I go to places like IITs which offer great opportunities? should I like MBA is a very different thing, but people do think about it, do take it into account, many people. So what is your suggestion to that guy sitting on that crossover? Like this is the time when people enter, like go from second year to third year. So a guy is sitting on the crossover right now. What should be his approach and how should he go about it? Like going for going to a better place with better opportunities, maybe making his own opportunities while he's in, or there's some middle ground he can come upon. He can prepare for GATE as well, or maybe CAT as well, and prepare for placements as well. So there's some middle ground he can come, or she can come into. So what's your take on that? That's my question.
Okay, so I'll tell you a scenario. The team I'm working on currently in Amazon, we are around 25 individuals, and I would say hardly 8 to 9 of the individuals or my teammates are from IIT and IT or BITS. The rest, all of us belongs to like tier 2 and 3 colleges, as you mentioned. So yeah, there is this notion. Yeah, so-called tier 3. So there is this notion that all the jobs goes to IITians or NITians, and we being from tier 3 or so colleges, similar colleges, could not crack those jobs or opportunities. In fact, the reality is totally opposite. Like talking about Amazon hires like aggressively, and not every one of the IITian or NITian or people from BITS could go to Amazon or Facebook or Google. So they need the workforce and they need quality workforce, that So now lies this question: where does that workforce come from, or where does that individuals come from? Tier 3s. So what happens is, as I mentioned earlier, see, not everyone in tier 3 college, like not everyone in those colleges would be hustling as much as a single person would be who goes into joining these FAANGs, you say. So what happens is, if you are consistent with your goal, if you like take certain measures, if you do your internships properly, and good internships where you are learning and inculcating those skills, you could definitely get into these good companies or organizations. So yeah, that is what's happening. Like people complaining about good companies not coming to them, they shouldn't they ask themselves, like, what am I doing? Where do I stand that the company should come and take me? So there is where the majority of problem lies. Now, I won't blame each and every individual from these kind of college, because they are lost in themselves. What happens is they do not get a good mentoring. They do not have proper guidance from teachers or seniors, because what ends up happening is most of the seniors they have the same mentality, or they end up getting a average job. So they do not think of going back to their college and giving or guiding. So I do not mean any disrespect to anyone, but that is what the scenario is, because I have seen it. When I was in my first year, I used to look upon my seniors. Like I would get to learn from my seniors, because few of my friends were in IITs and NITs. And when we used to talk in first year, they used to tell that this is happening or that is happening, or someone from this company came, he's a PM, or he's at this or that role. And I used to listen to those things, and I used to wonder, like, why is it not happening over here? And I had no answers. But right now I think why. Because people who go out, they are so much, first thing, it's either one or two of them out of the crowd. Like a general batch, suppose let's talk about a general batch having 300 students, and not everyone is serious. They all want jobs in these big companies, but not everyone is serious.
You want the mutton on the silver platter. And
exactly. So what happens is, the one who is serious and the one who's been getting guidance either by his own, or have his elderly brothers or sisters, or have stood for himself and got that opportunity, gets into a good company, gets a higher package. And let me say, no company is bad. or no company is average. Every company is like, every organization here is doing the best of it. Every individual after going into corporate is giving their best. It's a different story that not all organization could pay at the same scale, but everyone gives their best and everyone has a knowledge that is required to move ahead. I because like I do not have that much of like experience outside of corporate, but like I used to use LinkedIn like how people use Facebook and Instagram, and I have seen people, I have talked to individuals who like passed from a tier 3 college, got a very decent job which pays around 3 or 4 lakhs, and promoted their way up to bigger companies or higher managerial positions in their own companies, where they earn in like 4 times or 5 times what their salary was. So yeah, it's all about struggle, it's all about hard work, whether you are in college or in corporate. And also my belief is, and my thinking is, you need to struggle once, that's it, be it your college or later in the life. But as sooner as you struggle, easier your life will be in the future.
Also,
So
sir, I'm very sorry to interrupt you, but this one thing, the struggle is not so rigorous as they talk about it. Like it's very like all you have to do is spend like a couple of hours every day. That's not so
exactly.
rigorous. Like we target as struggle, so-called struggle. It's not very rigorous. You have to work like 10 to 12 hours every day. So that's my opinion. I just want to ask you, what is the amount of time a guy or maybe an individual requires to get into a top paying job? Like I'll mention a top paying job like more than 10 LP. What is the time frame a guy requires to properly from scratch preparing for a top tier job? So yeah.
Okay, so like, if I'll be honest and if I'll give you this fact, it's just 1 year, 1 hour daily. So even if someone is in fourth year, like entering into fourth year, and is like very much like dedicated towards, have wasted or not have enjoyed the rest of their 3 years, and is now dedicated to get into a good job, that's it. Because knowing basics of your, let's talk about a development role. So knowing basics of DSA and knowing a bit of what your like if talking about basics of DSA is enough, in but not that basic, but like knowing each and everything in depth, and implementation, how you can implement, how fast you can implement it, and that would pay you a good job, knowing that where the opportunity is. Also what happens is people have that knowledge, but being from tier 3 colleges or colleges in that uh, respect, they cannot get opportunities because they wait for opportunities, whereas at that point it's your responsibility to get out and like look for the opportunity. I will talk
Violently
about my
violently
yeah
applying into companies and internships.
exactly, I'll talk about myself. Like uh, I am not at any good position, but I think I am. But what I have done
Come on, sir,
for
you're in the
4 years.
Strolling Wise Minds show. How are you saying,
Okay,
Yeah, sure,
so
sir. Please carry
yeah,
on.
so what I have done in my college is enjoyed, but not like enjoyed. But I used to do certain stuff. Like people used to call me jack of all trades, master of none. I have touched ML, IoT, web, app. Except for blockchain, I have touched every technology. I have worked on each of those things because I had this interest of working on electronics, or like seeing sensors and electronics. So yeah, knowing a bit of coding and knowing that with an Arduino you can like control electronics and do stuff, that was mind blowing. And then machine learning was something again that I thought was, oh, this is something where an individual could program a computer to do accordingly, or like do things that is not possible. Back then I used to think that. So yeah, I started exploring those fields, and then web and app was also necessary. So I was not good at it. I used to make shitty apps and web application, but somehow what I used to do is I used to get my way through it. I used to if I knew if I wanted to do something, I used to get around it and I completed it. And that is what I have done for the whole 4 years of my life, which helped me land into a job where I am. I would say I haven't did very rigorous DSA or competitive coding. Like, I used to do it at a time, but not so rigorous like people think, like doing it for 5-6 hours. Also, this is a harmful practice because what it ends up doing is it burns you up. So what happens is you'll enjoy it for a week, but after 10 days you'll be tired of it, because you some people do it but not everyone, and you
it's not a
won't.
very result oriented thing, right? It
Exactly,
actually
exactly,
it
and
actually
that's
gives you no rush. Like
yeah.
building a product gives you a rush. So I guess that's my opinion.
That's absolutely true, because and that's where I'll come again into this part of consistency and perseverance. So even if you do 1 hour of your DSA daily or 5 days a week, but do it daily without fail, do it for a longer term, that will give you much more of a result than doing 1 month for 6 hours. Like, doing 6 months for 1 hour is much better than doing 1 month for 6 hours, and it's exponentially better. That's what I think.
So it's like
And
muscle
yeah,
building muscle memory. So you
exactly,
cannot build. Yeah, I
exactly.
guess.
Because
I
in
so
the
we
end,
can sum.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
you'll end up burning up yourself. So not wise.
So I guess summing up your entire thing, like if I sum up your entire anecdote, so I'll probably come up with like you have to work hard, and rest is all British conspiracy. So yeah, we
See, again, I'll
whatever you
come
like it.
back on the working hard thing. Working hard is not that difficult if you are enjoying the process. Because again, I'll come back to myself. Like, I never had that. Like, I'll be very honest. Didn't knew, like, after 4th year, I wanted to go into a specific company, or where I wanted to go, how much I wanted the job for. Like, till the final day in my 4th year, I never had this thought. I had that, okay, I just want to get a job before my graduation gets over. But I never had any specific role or specific job. But what I loved was exploring things. Like, that gave me different kind of rush. Like, combining technologies, ML and IoT. Even though I was very bad in those things, I wrote very crappy code. But combining technologies and like doing things, that gave me rush. And over time, first project very shitty, second project a little better, and over time there was this thing that by the end of 4th year, like in 4th year, I was writing papers, I was doing patents with faculties, I was writing book chapters. So that is what my journey is like. If you think whatever you are doing as a fun activity, that is hard work, but you won't think it as hard work. Yeah, so you can go ahead again.
Apparently working hard is a lifestyle. It's not a phase.
And
So
enjoying the work,
yes,
that's what's more important.
sure, sir. So that brings me to the end of the streak of my questions.
Okay.
And I'm sorry I haven't. I think I haven't like troubled you to every possible sentence. And yeah, whatever it is. So my last question is, like you have lived your college life and it's been a great time. You got to learn a lot. How much do you think this online phase is different, or maybe inferior or superior, or whatever you might think, is to the conventional college medium? And how can folks and maybe aspirants make the most out of it? And yeah, what has changed basically?
Okay, so see, times are difficult, obviously, and maybe most of your listeners won't agree or disagree with my thoughts, but I'll tell you what I think. So with this online phase, what has happened is, like, there are obviously lots of demerits. People got disconnected, people are in isolation, they can't do things. But with this online phase, people are also innovating, people are coming out with new contents, disruptive contents. Like, I was reading this article recently, and the this podcast thing has like boomed in this last year and a half because of this online and pandemic thing. So yeah, people are now like absorbing content. They are absorbing good content. So it definitely is helping them. But again, we if we come to what we are missing, as in like social circles, is certain skills that that takes you to communication and building skills in those domains. Those are getting restricted. So it's an individual duty to go ahead, like take a step further and get himself or herself in that, like get them acquainted with those things, and like because this is going to be over soon. And then if one is not getting themselves like upgraded each day, there would be a time where they'll start having this FOMO thing. So again, to
The
talk about
today
this.
the today trending is the tomorrow is obsolete. So probably.
Exactly. So what's happening is, and I'll also sum up, like in this online phase, I won't say like this would end, but yeah, people are doing innovative things. Things are still happening the same way as it used to be. The only disadvantage or a roadblock is we are disconnected from a social circle, but that also depend on us. If we want to, we can. We have this absolute like amazing technologies like video conferencings and video calls. We all have phones. We can like cut 5 minutes of our Instagram time and connect with someone over call, or do different things. Keep on learning skills. See, in college also you would have done it either with a peer or a group, but you would be learning skills. So this time is no different in a way. Difficulties are there, but one if one should keep up on upgrading themselves and learning skills. You see, so many of the startups have come up in this online time only, like in this pandemic phase. Like I was going through your story, and there was this beautiful article that covered all the startups and all the fundings that have happened with the startup. Even one of my friend who has his own startup, he is from Bits Pilani, and they received like $45 million funding. And that is something amazing. People are doing things. It's not that the world has stopped. So again, if you want to, you can. But uh, the time is a bit different. Like also there's one thing that I want to like address. Earlier what used to happen is, like we used to rely on other people to give us knowledge and give us the content, or teach us things, or like say uh, uh, give knowledge to us. But now it's your responsibility and your duty to move a step ahead and get that knowledge, because competition and no one is waiting for you. So yeah.
Sure, sir. So that brings me to the end of my podcast and all of my questions. So, how was the experience in this, and how irritated are you at this point?
No,
So,
not at all. In fact, I love talking on these kind of things, man. Like, yeah, we could have extended this for an hour or two more. And this was amazing. Talking to you was amazing. Knowing you in person was amazing. And I would say you are doing a good work. Keep on doing it.
I
Yeah.
guess we'll make a proper. This was very technical. I guess podcast. We'll make another podcast. This is based on the non-technical part. Like how can you build friends in college? How can you like that? That is the part we need to talk about. And from obviously someone who has done both the technical part and this thing as well. So yeah, sure, sir. That brings me to the end of the podcast. And thank you for joining in. And
Uh,
we'll back up and. Please, you can say the drill. Like, please like, share, and subscribe. People don't actually do that on my channel.
yeah,
So,
for sure, man. Guys, please like and subscribe and share his content, and like and subscribe his channel again. And Kanishk is doing a amazing work. In fact, I would say each one of you to come ahead and do something what in which your interest lies. And yeah, have a great life ahead.
thank you, sir.
Okay.
ask the boss if he pay me on time. He just said, you go get yours, I'll go get mine. Oh no.